Go. Mathers at fullback, Riley, King, Bridge, and all eyes on Brian Carney tonight. Grix and Clark is the scrum half and skipper. The forwards, Wood, Monaghan, Carvel, Louis Anderson, Westwood and Harrison. And on the bench for the Wolves, Johnson, Vinnie Anderson, Cooper and Mitchell. Coach, Tony Smith. Saints, they've got no Matt Gidley, Sean Long, Jason Kalas or Kieran Cunningham. Wellens is the skipper then at fullback. Gardner, Gilmore, Young Wheeler and Melly. Price alongside Eastman. The forwards, Graham, Roby and Clough, Flannery, Wilkin and Pulatuya. And on the bench, Hargreaves, Farsavalu and two youngsters, Dixon and Lomax for coach Mick Potter. Well, the Warrington fans here in their numbers because they believe tonight could be the night. They're aiming to end an 8-year hoodoo against the Saints here. Their solitary win at Wilderspool, April 2001, 56 points to 22. But St Helens that day, they will always tell you they were under strength ahead of the Challenge Cup final. Plus, they had Paul Newlove sent off following a tackle on Toa Coe-Love. In round one this year, Saints 26, Warrington 14. But Warrington led 8-0 at half-time. It was the fifth consecutive meeting over the past 2 years in which this Warrington team held a lead only to suffer defeat. John Clark leading the team out. They've won 8 of the last 9 under Tony Smith. The last time he coached against St Helens in club football was the 2007 Old Trafford Grand Final. Leeds that night tore up the form book and won by 33 points to 6. Brian Carney makes his eagerly awaited return to rugby league action 3 years after playing for Great Britain in Australia in the 2006 Tri Nations. And the significance of the number on his back, 32. Brian Carney is 32 years of age, but he will be 33 in 2 weeks' time. He just got it in time. Richard Silverwood is the big match referee. There's a cracking atmosphere at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. This could be one of the matches of the weekend, and we've already seen a couple of classics on Friday night. It's the Engage Super League, and it's St Helens who are on top against Warrington, 8th in the table, and it's going to be Warrington who will get this game underway. Chris Bridge, 17th in a row here, and he's starting to come good for Tony Smith. We're underway, and it's a shocking kickoff.
Not the start that Tony Smith, the coach, could have wanted. You can just feel the tension here. It's a magnificent crowd. And I think it's just getting to the players. I really can't understand how they went for that high one. This has given the opportunity now for Saints to get the possession and apply the first pressure.
Chris Bridge practiced the kick-off, Eddie, for 2 or 3 minutes before the match. Not once did he kick it that distance. It's amazingly bad luck. Whether that's the adrenaline in his body that's recruited more muscle fibres and he's hit it with greater timing. But none of his previous kicks went that far. Bad luck for Bridge and the Wolves.
Yes, not the start they would have wanted. St Helens here on the attack with Roby. And Roby is grounded just 12 metres away from the Warrington Wolves line.
That was poor mark into the first and second. They've got to get themselves ordered out.
Lee Gilmore is halted. Big blow for Warrington in the fact that they've lost Adrian Morley, their skipper. But St Helens will say their absences are just as crucial. And Lee Gilmore has taken a knock there in that tackle. And he has crumpled in a heap. This now is Pulatuya. Pressure on the Warrington line right from the start, but pressure on Lee Gilmore as well from those 3 tacklers. Roby to Eastman.
Pretty good defence there, it had to be as well. Leading the way is Wood.
Sensational atmosphere. Knock on. Just simply dropped the ball, Kyle Eastman. He can't believe it. Little shake of the head.
Well, he just should have kept control of that. It's no good looking at the official. This is the kickoff, which was not good at all. Gilmore left it, and in fact, there's a big problem for Gilmore. He's had treatment in back play. Maybe we can find out what's happening there.
Well, there he is in the tackle. He has decided to carry on. Maybe he was cracked in the ribs. He was being spun around. Oh, and Wood coming in and giving him a real big hit. First tackle of the match on Lee Gilmore. He felt that. Here is Carvel for Warrington.
Pretty important that the big prop forward, Carvel, lays the foundation for Tony Smith and his side. He knows the importance of it. Saints very strong up front. Graham and Clough, James Roby will control things from dummy half. But the Wolves have to make sure that they compete down the middle in the forwards.
Last tackle here for Warrington. The kick is not the best. Straight into the arms of Paul Wellens. That was not the best kick from Simon Griggs. This now is Francis Melly. Roby at dummy half. James Graham for St Helens. Met head-on, face-to-face by Gareth Carvel, and Wood completing the job. Eastman gets the ball away and finds Paul Clough.
Interesting to see how that Mick Potter is having Kyle Eastman as the first receiver. That's a lot of confidence given to the youngster. He knows he's got the responsibility now that Sean Long will be out for several weeks with a broken jaw.
Gilmore trapped on halfway on the last. Eastman gets the ball away to Wellens, and Wellens' kick is straight down the throat of Richie Mathers.
And that's an interesting part of St Helens. Who will do their field kicking? It was primarily Sean Long. Wilkin was probably the second option, and Price after that. Now with Long missing for a significant part of the season, and of course moving on next year, the future of their kicking game will be dictated whether that's Wellens, Eastman, or maybe even again through Roby or Price.
Michael Monaghan, 7 on his back, but operating as the hooker tonight. Westwood gives the ball out wide, and this is Griggs again. He's spun to the ground by Francis Melly. Monaghan once again waits and finds Gareth Carvel. Goes straight at Roby. Good job that Wilkin was there as well. Here now is John Clark, left-footed. And it goes between Wellens and Melly, but it runs far too deep. And the Warrington kicking hasn't been clever early on, Brian.
Neither side have kicked for great positional field. They've caught the ball on the full, and I think that's due to the intensity of the game. Both teams are bringing kick pressure on the kickers, which means the direction is very difficult to get. As they get a little bit more tired, I think one team will come over in the ascendancy.
St Helens have won the last 18 meetings against Warrington, and they're unbeaten in 25 matches against Warrington, stretching back to that 2001 defeat.
Good work there by Michael Monaghan. Interesting to see that Tony Smith, the coach, has pushed Monaghan. Normally the halfback is taking the hooking role today. The responsibility on John Clark, captaincy as well. He likes to get involved as Clark. We'll have to see whether he can control the issues out there tonight.
Here's Matt King. Let's go straight down to Bill.
Well, it looks as though Lee Gilmore has shaken off the effects of that bang in the ribs. He's had another visit from the physio out there on the field, and he does look, he's just been nursing that left-hand side, it is, I think, once or twice, but he's given the thumbs up to the physio. Physio's given the thumbs up to the sideline, so Gilmore looking to continue.
Here from Warrington with Matt King. He's got Riley in support. Roby's missed him. He also has Clark, and Clark will go over for the first try for Warrington. From one end of the field to the other for the Warrington Wolves. John Clark, the captain for the night. Almost 300 career games now. He got a try last week. He's actually scored in 2 of his last 3. And John Clark gets Warrington off to a flyer. It was a good kick from Leon Price that pushed Warrington back towards their own goal line, but they looked very strong coming forward. And Clark over for the first 4-pointer.
Tremendous play there by Louis Anderson, but it was Monaghan that set it up, just pushed it through. Look at the way he fended away. Gardner, get out of the way. King says, oh, going inside. He looked, how's that for power? He juggled it. John Clark, what a start for the Wolves. Tremendous. All about this beautiful play there by the hooker Michael Monaghan, but what about the strength from Anderson? King, who's found his top form at long last, back on the inside. It looked as though Clark was overrunning it, but he got it in time.
Chris Bridge adds the extras. Warrington lead against St Helens by 6 points to 0. It's the 6th game in a row that Warrington have held a lead, but in each of the previous 5 they have gone on to lose. But they lead here tonight by John Clark's try, and Bridges' goal.
But that's the clinical element that Warrington will need tonight, Eddie, if they are to win. When the opponents miss tackles and they're given a chance, they need to convert it into points. It's not often you see St Helens miss 2 tackles as they did in that one player, Gardner, and then Roby. And Warrington, with the clinical finishing, put the first points on the scoreboard.
7.5 minutes gone. Warrington ahead by 6 points to 0. Carney at dummy half.
Just going to ask Brian, Eddie, what's changed in the last 3 years in terms of wing play for Brian Carney since he's been out of rugby league?
Well, he'll find he'll have to do a whole lot more work than he was when he left. You're looking for your wingers to carry the ball maybe 20 times in a game. You're certainly looking for them to defuse all the bombs that come their way, all the short kicks. So it's not the easy life that it used to be 3 years ago. It's a pivotal position in any team now.
And Brian Noble, of course, the last man prior to Tony Smith to coach Brian Carney in rugby league. That's a great kick. That's a fabulous kick. He's out. Well, surely had the foot over the line there, didn't he?
I think he had the foot over the line. But we're a long way away, and so was the official Richard Silverwood. Oh, how close is that? Well and superb. But what about the kick from Michael Monaghan? They are controlling things at the moment to the Wolves. They are in tip-top form, and I'm afraid Saints, they'll try to just get back and get some territory.
This is Pulatuya. Huge figure of a man, Tony Pulatuya, 22 times a Kiwi international, 5 times for Samoa. Poor kick though from Price, straight down the throat of Riley. Good chase though, and the chase led by Eastman and Roby.
Liam Price put under a lot of pressure. That's the reason why it wasn't a good kick. That's better though by Eastman. Good work at the play the ball area. He realises there's Liam Price. He's going to be pinpointed as a danger man. They won't allow him any room to move.
That's Monaghan. Here is Anderson again. That's Louis Anderson.
It's a pretty smart move by the coach Tony Smith to give Monaghan the opportunity to work overtime, because that's what you've got to do if you're going to control the play the ball area. Nice kick.
There's good kick from Clark.
I think one of the features that Warrington were doing in warm-up, great kick from Clark. We saw him in practice working over a channel, the side of the field where the centre and the half-back and the back row has to do a lot of work defensively. So we'll see Warrington just to get one side of the field and stay there, then find a kick for the corner. Quite a smart tactic, because we saw with the try that they broke a number of tackles down that short side to create something.
St Helens will have the feed at this scrum. Eastman comes out via Roby to Flannery. Solid defence from Warrington though. Ben Harrison and Matt King. Roby to Graham. Good hit. Great tackle by Westwood.
And he's in there again, it's Westwood.
But they got the ball away. Here's Pulatuya, flicks it back to Price. Price then gives it over the top. It's good work in defence, it's good work in attack. Here is James Graham. Well, Wakefield were up for the challenge of Leeds last night, and Warrington are certainly up for the challenge of the Saints this evening.
Well, Roby's looking for support. There's nobody there. They're really off the pace at the moment of the Saints, and they realise it.
Here's Wilkin though, he'll slide that kick down the left-hand channel. Richard Mathers with work to do. Wheeler is after him. Wheeler gets to him, but Mathers does well. And Francis Melly just pulled out at the right moment then, because he could easily have been penalised for a flop. He just stopped himself falling on the grounded player.
Great work though, wasn't it, on that short blind side. That looked high. Not noticed by the touch judge on that far side, neither by Richard Silverwood, the official. But there certainly looked to be a stray arm over the top of the shoulder, and that will convince me that it should have been a penalty.
Clark spreads it wide. This is Anderson again.
Did well to catch this. Boom, that's it. No doubt in my mind, Price certainly hit the target, and the target was his face.
Mathers with the kick downfield, one bouncing into the arms of the St Helens captain, Paul Wellens. He plays the ball to James Roby. Interesting Monaghan playing at hooker these days. I wonder if that's a a sign for the future, because the big rumour, of course, is that Richard Myler will be here from Salford in 2010. But Salford might have a word to say about that, as Gilmore goes in for a St Helens response. Well, he was injured early on, and they certainly took the wind out of his sails with the tackle. But he had the speed then and the strength to get round the back of the Warrington rear guard and come up with the try. And I think that Griggs has actually left the field, having just been involved in that tackle with Leon Price. He's left the pitch, but well, Lee Gilmore over for the St Helens try. He's operating in the centres. He needs one more try now for a career 100.
Well, if anybody had any doubt as to whether this man, Kyle Eastman, can fit into the role of the injured Sean Long, this is it. This is a superb run. Look how he just pulled the man in, offloaded. Gilmore came on the angle. He knew he had the pace. This is turning out to be a cracker. We've had a fantastic weekend of rugby league so far, and it doesn't look as though they're going to let us down now.
Warrington just having a little players meeting behind the posts, and Kyle Eastman was waiting for a football because there was none on the field. Suddenly there's three.
Well, we've talked about field kicking. Eastman hasn't really been involved in that yet. The next big important thing, I suppose, is goal kicking for St Helens. It appears as though, and he's got a pretty good record this year, Eddie. He's 79% success, which is significantly better than Sean Long, and if he can continue at that rate, it'll cause further problems for any team that plays against St Helens this year.
Yes, he's scored 13 goals so far. He has now got 14 goals. Eastman has levelled the scores. It's 6 apiece. Let's go straight down to Bill. News of Griggs, Bill.
Yes, Simon Griggs went straight off the field, and obviously Leon Price, or whoever's involved as well in that tackle, hit the target, because it's a cut in the mouth, and apparently a pretty bad one that Griggs suffered as a result of that shot. So he's off the field, and there was some disorganisation, just a little bit of disarray in the Warrington ranks as Saints went in for that try, because Vinnie Anderson was just coming onto the field, Griggs on his way off as they were going in for that try.
Safety first this time from Chris Bridge, the kick-off all along the ground, and Welland's able to just trap it with the help of his body, and here comes St Helens.
It's a big
on
blow.
The charge.
It's a big blow to lose Griggs as well, and you saw quite clearly, we mentioned it as that play came under, that Leon Price certainly did not miss, hit the target. It's going to be a problem now for Warrington to sort a few things out.
Polituya is dumped on his back, tackle number 4. St Helens still inside their own half of the field. Now Roby, not the best kick though, Mathers. And Mathers will run it back at Roby, who stands his ground.
Well, neither side in the kicking department have really taken control, and silly to mess around. Clough just got caught out there, just went for the second push, did all the hard work, and then just kept hold and then pushed him away.
Hand on the ball, but Brian, a rip-roaring start.
Oh, it's been huge. I think Warrington have come out and shown their intention with some great physical contact, and then Warrington have not come away with the goods, only 6 points. And then we see Saints under the pressure. We see a fantastic kick from John Wilkin that gives some field position, then Eastman to Gilmore, and suddenly they're back in the game.
Here comes Matt King. He's lost that in the challenge. Eastman then picks up and finds Wellands.
Great play by Eastman as well. Okay, the ball's missing, but he could have just gone to the ground. But notice how the halfback just spun it around. He could see that Wellands was in a better position. Okay, he only got 5 metres forward, but that could be critical.
This is Wheeler, and Wheeler has broken into open space. He's got Nelly with him, and Nelly gets the pass. And Nelly had Carney for support. It came off the knees of Price. They keep it going with Eastman. And the referee in the way there, really, for St Helens.
Well, you'd have to say that Melly perhaps could have scored if Richard Silver wouldn't have been in the way.
Wood has missed Roby.
They're struggling out there on the right-hand side in the defence of Warrington. That's where they're going.
With Price, and this is Wilkin, and Wilkin gives it back to Polituya. Big strength from Polituya, and a tackle from Carvel low down, finished off by Clark. That's where they are, and they're over the line, I think, with Graham. The referee will hand this upstairs to video referee Steve Ganson for clarification, but James Graham might have just nudged St Helens ahead here. Nothing wrong with that.
This should be given. Tremendous quick work from James Roby. Realised that the big prop forward was going to come at an express rate. This will be confirmation, and it is.
Try for James Graham. He made his 150th appearance for St Helens at Salford last week in defeat. He scored a try against Warrington in the very first round of 2009. That's his fourth try of the season, the 2008 Man of Steel.
Quick hands, and it was Wheeler that just pushed him away with considerable ease. Look how they're positioned there from Melly. That was quite superb, but you can see the referee was in the way. Good position to say that it came off the legs, carried it through, but watch how they get forward, and they just got to a position when it was a quick play, the ball, nothing that King could do. Graham says, I'll take it, and Saints take the lead for the first time in the game.
And Eastman, 1 from 1, 2 from 2, Warrington 6, St Helens 12.
You could see that Graham was out wide. There was no less than 5 would-be defenders of Warrington in and around the play-the-ball area. Look how he just got through that slot. They've got to tighten their defence. They've got to spread out. They're not talking to each other, the Wolves. They've got to make sure they get it organised quickly.
James Graham, the reigning Man of Steel, the 4th consecutive St Helens player to receive that accolade at the end of season Rugby League Oscars. 18 minutes on the watch, St Helens ahead by 12 points to 6. Latest try scorer, Graham, tackled by Ben Harrison, who incidentally, his brother Liam, plays for Barrow in the Northern Rail Cup final against Widnes at Blackpool tomorrow. And there is Adrian Morley, the Warrington skipper, watching on here. His son Leo in close attendance too. Salford are ahead 12-0 in Bridgend. Here in Warrington it's 12-6 to Saints, who are in possession on the last. Dink over the top by Price. Work for Mathers to do here. And Mathers is trapped in goal. He loses the ball in the process as well. Great chase from Eddie Gardner.
What a fabulous set from St Helens. We've seen there why you just can't throw a few haymakers at the start of the game. You've got to keep jabbing away at them. They've marched this team after a try and a score right down the field and in the ascendancy. Super middle play from the St Helens.
They're the best attack with 108 tries before tonight, so that's 110. They have the best defence. 53 tries conceded before tonight. It's 54 right now. Best attack, best defence, top of the table. St Helens in possession with Pulatuya. It's a massive, massive challenge for Warrington tonight.
Certainly is, but they were in control for the opening 10 minutes. And then Saints suddenly woke up, got themselves organised. It's quick play the balls and running from Roby in that position, creating all sorts of problems now for the Wolves.
Eastman, quick hands. High tackle on Wilkin. It was by Vinnie Anderson.
Didn't miss either.
Signal's gone out for 2 points, but Wakefield ignored the call from John Keir last night.
I don't think they'll ignore this one. Yeah, far too high by Vinnie Anderson there. This will be a gift, 2 points, or should be.
When St Helens hit a purple patch, Eddie, you've just got to try and hang on if you want to beat them. You know, if you go back to round 1 when they played against Warrington at home, it was the last 30 minutes they scored 6 tries. Up until that point, they hadn't managed to score a single point. 6 tries in the last 30 minutes or so. Amazing effort. You know that they're not going to play like that for 80 minutes. You've just got to ride through the patches when they really accelerate and hope that they don't manage to rack up too many points.
Well, they're in familiar territory. They've won all 9 Super League visits to this ground. That's why some glum Warrington faces you're looking at right now. That's since the ground was opened in 2004. They also won a 2004 Cup semi-final here against Huddersfield on this ground. And coincidentally, they play each other, those two, next month for a place at Wembley this year. Eastman, meanwhile, has added the extra 2 from the penalty, and it's 14-6 to St Helens.
A lot of responsibility on the shoulders of this young fella, Kyle Eastman. But I feel that he's confident enough to display his skills at the top level. over the last 10 minutes, he really has injected himself. He seemed to take control. Lovely to see that Mick Potter, the Saints coach, has all the confidence for him to take control. He's been the first receiver. Oh, looking to get away with that.
It's amazing though, isn't it? You know, Phil, players come, players go, jerseys stay the same colour, different numbers. It's the same pattern from St Helens. It looks just like Leeds.
What's fascinating about St Helens, Eddie, though, and I think this is a real test for them tonight, they've lost the ball there, I think, is that this is a period now where they're without Sean Long and Kieran Cunningham, and you've had other players like Joint and Sculthorpe, but for the last decade, those two players, along with Paul Wellens, have probably been the bedrock. Is it a knock-on?
I don't think
says
so.
Yes.
I think it's a knock-on the other way.
Well, if he's giving Warrington the head and feed, I think they've got it wrong, because
It was a poor pass.
it went behind Wilkin, you can see that, and as far as I'm concerned, Bridge gets a hand to it. Interesting to see how Richard Silverwood sees this.
It could still go forward, I suppose, couldn't it?
Yes. Well, Warrington won't be complaining at 14-6 down, don't worry about that. This is Monaghan. And this now is Vinnie Anderson. We're going to get an update on the condition of Simon Griggs in a moment. Just let's see how this develops for the Warrington Wolves. Monaghan, Paul Wood. Paul Wood still, he nearly spun his way to the line. So close Warrington, Monaghan again, back it comes to Chris Bridge. Here is John Clark standing deep. Now it's with Richie Mathers. Wide it goes to Riley! He's in touch. It was a little fumble and Gardner gets all the congratulations from the St Helens players.
Well, it was a
little fumble cost him.
It certainly did. He probably would have squeezed in, but Gardner equal to the task. Boy, this is a classic game. Both sides eager to get the ball out wide. Good solid work down the middle. They're trying the links. We've seen the wonderful expertise from John Clark, who you saw there on that second phase. He was stood back, way back. There's the man that saved the try.
Great tackle from Gardner. We've got a little break in play here, waiting for the scrum. Let's get the news about Griggs. Bill.
Eddie, it doesn't sound as though Simon Griggs is going to be returning for Warrington this evening. Certainly that's the early verdict from the dressing room, from the physios department here. It is a bad gash to the lip, and there is a suspicion that he's going to be on his way to hospital and will need plastic surgery to repair the damage.
12-6, Salford lead Celtic Crusaders. That's bad news for Simon Griggs, bad news for Warrington, and bad news for Tony Smith, of course, because he'll now have to very, very carefully sort out his substitutions in this match. Eastman with the kick from inside the 40, but Riley is after it and catches it on the fly. Gets only as far, though, as Bryn Hargreaves. Interesting, these two coaches here tonight, Tony Smith and Mick Potter. They're former teammates. They were members of the 1992 and 1993 Australian Grand Finalists St George, who were beaten by Brisbane on both occasions. They're old friends, but sworn enemies for 80 minutes tonight. There's Mick Potter on the right of your screen, the reigning coach of the year for all the good work he did at Catalan Dragons.
I must say I'm rather surprised that Mick Potter has not taken a little bit of an advantage, but we must realise that Brian Kahn is going to be a little bit rusty getting back into this game. This is his first real big match, and they haven't really tested him. I thought that they would have been kicking to him on several occasions. Maybe that will come later.
He's been working his way through the reserve grade as Brian Carney to get himself ready for this Super League debut. This now is Hargreaves, Bryn Hargreaves, 15. One of Daniel Anderson's big success stories, Bryn Hargreaves. This is Graham. He will play the ball to Roby. Back it comes to Eastman, who steps inside. Two challenges. Brilliant. Important ankle tap by Michael Monaghan.
Sheer quality and class there. Just snipped at his ankle. Otherwise he would have been through. But great quality, good job that Monaghan got to it. Saints are caught offside. Well, it's end-to-end stuff, isn't it? Not the best kick though by Richard Mathers. Only gained about 15 metres forward.
This is Louis Anderson. His 10th consecutive start and a new 2-year deal in the bank here for Louis Anderson. Monaghan. Not the best pass, picked up though by Michael Cooper. It was off his ankles. Good to see Cooper back. He had a broken leg in 2007, a bad broken leg as well. It cost him a full year. Here is Bridge. He pops the ball up. Scrambling St Helens defence. Wilkin and Price bringing down Paul Johnson. This is Mathers.
Clark will take first receiver here. Will he bring back someone on the inside? Oh, it's a shocker.
That's a knock-on. Oof. Referee says that went backwards. I think that Louis Anderson got away with that. Really do. Last tackle. Clark. Measured kick out wide, looking for Carney. Nearly finding Carney. Ball pops up. It's all over the shop. Referee will order the turnover, I think, here.
Right, wants to have a look at it. Good work by Carney, knocked it back. Now, does it come off Wellens? Is this a head and feet to Warrington? That's okay. That went backwards.
And then this is forward from Westwood, isn't it? Or was that off his foot?
I think it is off his foot. Yeah, I think this will be head and feet. Well done, Richard Silverwood, because a lot of referees would have taken the gamble. It was great work by Carney. He'll be happy. Tony Smith, another opportunity to launch an attack. It's very muggy out there. It really is warm. It'll be affecting these players.
This is Clark. He tried to evade Paul Clough and he couldn't simply get away from Lee Gilmore. Monaghan finds Cooper on the charge. Good run from Mike Cooper.
Nearly caught the defence napping there, really got into top gear.
Warrington camped on the St Helens line. Back it comes to Chris Bridge. Knocked out and play on.
He was involved in the tackle, that's the rule. The home fans don't like it, but the officials got it absolutely spot on. There you see him getting involved into the tackle, which was Gilmore. Irrespective as it went through, and that is one heck of a hit. Ben Harrison nearly took Gardner apart.
Getting stuck in Warrington, there's no doubt about that. Harrison and Cooper bringing down Bryn Hargreaves. Here is Graham. Another good hit. That was by Ben Westwood. Last tackle, Saints trapped in their own half. Price shimmying past a couple. Poor kick. Oh, over the head of Mathers.
Did well, Price. It was very good to take the side step. I must say the chase wasn't all that good though. You can see that Warrington, they're back on the 30 already.
Player down in back play, crowd going potty.
I think it's Mathers.
Referee blows the whistle and wants Mathers to have some treatment. I didn't see what happened then, and I don't know if any of the officials did as well, but I bet you one thing.
I think it's Gilmore.
Untoward, our cameras have got this.
It's Gilmore goes in late with his shoulder.
Well, I think he was committed. I don't think there's anything in that.
Well, it looked late, even though I think that's a little bit late.
I think probably because Mathers had relaxed, having passed the ball, he shook the body and there was almost a whiplash action, wasn't it? You saw his head move to the side.
Well, we saw that in slow motion, and it's maybe it makes it look a little bit worse than what it was, but
there was no arms raised, to be fair.
No, it was a shoulder.
Arms were down.
It was a shoulder.
I think the referee, because nobody on the field saw this, is going to put this on report.
It was late. I'm sorry.
Fractionally.
Yeah, fraction and off. It's late.
Calm down, Stephen.
Tell that to the home crowd.
Oh, they'll never calm down. Well, Mathers is on his feet at least, and he's blowing a bit hard, but looks like he's fit enough to carry on, unlike Simon Grix. Monaghan, Bridge and Westwood. Good run from Westwood. Took three to bring him down. Wants to get on with it quickly and does. Here is Cooper. Cooper, oh, back to zero in the tackle count. There was a St Helens hand in there. Vinnie Anderson now. To brother Louis. Louis to Matt King, short. And King hits the deck. Louis Anderson, John Clark, Ben Harrison. Oh, an offload, I was going to say impossible, but it's come off. Vinnie Anderson, Mathers, Bridge up the middle, Chris Bridge for Warrington. Tremendous try. First Super League appearance in 12 months came against St Helens in round 1. An Achilles tendon injury ruined his season in 2008, an injury he sustained against St Helens. Tonight he exacts a little bit of revenge with that try. Great try from Bridge, this.
This is the way to come onto a football, and then when he takes it, look at the step. Oh, he's completely bamboozled them. It looked as though he's going to get the ball out wide. Watch this. This is where it's going. Watch it, and then it goes. That is superb. He left John Wilkin for dead. Sensational try, and at a time that Wolves, they really needed that. It looked as though Saints were controlling and bossing the game, but they are fought back. Good work in the forward, got them in that position, and Bridge with a sensational step and try.
And can he add the extras? Yes, he can. 14-12, Saints.
There was a really aggressive period of Warrington defence, probably a minute or two before this try, and obviously they've got themselves into a position here to score. Brilliant acceleration there. As soon as he presses the accelerator, he gets through the line, scores the try. He is a strong runner close to the try line, but I think you've got to compliment some of the players like Ben Harrison and Ben Westwood as well. The tackles that they were coming up with Michael Cooper, I've not seen that ferocity and intensity in the Wolves defence for a while.
32 minutes gone, 8 to the half-time break then. Game on here. Great kick-off. So deep that was. Good chase from that kick-off as well. There was a bit of hang time on the ball. Farsavalou is on, as you can see, 23 on his back. He's come on to give James Graham a spell.
Well, I must say the introduction of Cooper and his colleague out there, the loose forward Ben Harrison, they're getting through a heck of a lot of hard work. A lot of people thought perhaps without Morley they may struggle a little bit down the middle, but especially Cooper has injected a lot into this outfit.
Farsavalou went for a flying tackle then. 12 apiece in Bridgend. Bridge with the kick downfield. Melly pouches it cleanly. Francis Melly runs it back strongly.
It's amazing with the quality of kickers out there on display tonight that not many have actually deceived either the winger or the full back.
Roby gets St Helens over halfway on the third tackle. Plays the ball to Leon Price. A little untidily. This is Flannery. Pulled down by King. At least he played it with the ball, with the foot, the ball with the foot. Farsavalou. Last one here for Saints. Eastman. Angled kick. Didn't deceive Monaghan. And a good chase led by young Andrew Dixon. 19 years of age, Dixon.
Good work by Monaghan there. A lot of sides perhaps thought that Saints would have gone just out onto the one-man side, but they went back for the inside kick. He's an intelligent player.
Matt King grounded on tackle number 3. Carney in a dummy half. Is it a big gamble, do you think, by Warrington and Tony Smith to play and give Brian Carney a chance? Will the gamble come off?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's as simple as that. He's very, very fit, and we know he's extremely eager to get back into rugby league.
Yeah, I think he'll be terrific. Simple it is, he's one of 17 blokes out there, Eddie, and he'll play his part, he'll carry the ball a lot. He might be a little bit rusted, he might not do it as well as he's been doing it, but he'll soon get up to speed.
And he's box office, Brian, isn't he? And the owner of this club, Simon Moran, is all about box office.
Hold. Go.
Celtic Crusaders lead Salford 18-12.
Move. Hold.
Salford led 12-0 at one stage.
Pretty good defence as well. Warrington have upped the ante in that department. They had to as well. Had a velvet patch, didn't it, at Saints when they scooted in for 2 good tries.
Amazing league this, isn't it? Salford last week beat the Saints, who are top of the table. Right now, they are trailing the team sitting at the bottom of the table.
And it was errors like that that cost them the game at Salford last week. Coaches talk about ball security. On a number of occasions, they got up to play the ball. They may say that it was illegally tampered with or stripped by the Salford team, but a similar type thing happened. They lost possession halfway through the 6 plays that you're given in rugby league, and it cost them dearly.
I can't believe that, you know, a man of that quality, and let's face it, Bryn Hargreaves has been around a while, is that why do they put the ball on the floor before they get up to their feet? It's illegal to do that anyway. Carney's away!
Oh, and he got the pass back inside to Johnson, who fed him. But here comes Melly.
That should be a penalty. Brian Carney was held back by Leon Price there, and the touch judge and referee have missed it.
Not the best. Fasivalou picks it up though. Oh, good run from Fasivalou.
Nearly got it away there. Dixon was in support.
This is Paul Clough now. 3.5 minutes to half time. Danger time for any team that faces St Helens. That was Dixon, who gave it to Eastman, who gives it to Price, and he nearly ghosted his way through the Warrington defence. Fasivalou. Matt King shot out of the line then. Last one here for Saints. Back it comes to Eastman. Here's Wellens. Stabs the kick in. Riley is after it. Riley shoots it there. Penalty to St Helens.
They were offside. And you can see there that Clark certainly was. Anderson, he joined in. Good work though by Chris Riley. He read it exceptionally well. Was he taken out? This is the incident where there's holding back. Look at that. You're right, Phil. He was holding the winger down, was Price. Not seen by the officials.
This was seen though by the officials. That's why St Helens have got the penalty right on the Warrington line. And 2.5 to the half-time break. Roby, good defence though from Warrington there. Anderson shot out of the line, helped out by Mathers. Here is Eastman. Oh, poor ball behind the players. Wellens retains possession for his side. Lost a bit of momentum there with the Saints. Price. Eastman. Pops it up to Hargreaves. Hargreaves going the difficult way, right up the middle. Oh, Roby goes without it.
He was going on a solo run, was a hooker.
Play on, says the referee. Good decision. Warrington in possession over the advantage line.
To be fair to Saints, it looks as though they're going to be caught napping, but Dixon, and they've caught them for messing around, had to play the ball, hold him down. Well, all that hard work from Dixon, because he responded very well when Warrington took the quick tap. Boy, this has been an exciting half. There's a mistake from Roby. He was on his way for the try.
It's been error-strewn, but it's been, as you say, entertaining.
Well, most of the errors have come about because they have been forced, because both sides are into each other. There's some rugged, tough tackling out there.
Monaghan. Here's King. Brushes away from Eastman. Hauled down by the collar by Flannery. Monaghan. John Clark. Bridge. Gets the pass away. Price was all over him.
He read it well, didn't he, the standoff, Leon Price. Knew exactly where that ball was going.
Bridge again, stabbing it down the line. Oh, picked up by Roby. Now that is Roby quick enough? Is Roby quick enough? No, that's very well done by Lee Mitchell. He did enough to put him off.
It looked as though he had the legs, didn't he? But Mitchell did ever so well.
Here's Wilkin.
Warrington have done well to get their line of defence sorted out.
Over the top from Eastman to Gardner. Try from Gardner. And just before half-time, as they do so often, St Helens come up with a very telling play. There's the half-time siren in the background. The kick is still to come. Gardner. He loves coming to this place, doesn't he? 7 times
It looked for all the world that there was Warrington to apply the pressure. Roby went for it. They got back in time though. Mitchell did ever so well to put him off, but then they were always going to be under a lot of trouble. And it was a skill factor again from Kyle Eastman. He kept his cool. Watch when he gets it. He can see that they've got the overlap. What a superb pass out to Gardner. He knew he was going for the line. Boy, this is excitement through and through.
Gardner's try at just the right time for Saints.
And you know, it's amazing, in this league most teams make about the same number of breaks. The difference is what you do after making that break, either scoring on it with superb support play or on the very next play. And Saints showed their class, not to panic but to find the man in space who could then take an opportunity of a defence that wasn't set, hadn't been properly formed, and shifting the ball from the left wing to the right is a lot harder than how they just made it look.
Well, Tony Smith looking slightly concerned because his team are 18-12 down at the moment, and Eastman, who took a bit of a clatter as he got that pass away, has recovered sufficiently to take this kick at goal, and he's missed it. Well, the half-time siren has sounded. 18-12 is how it will finish.